All right, Israel, can you tell us a little bit about what your business does and a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, for sure. We're Caesars on Broadway. We have two locations. We have one on Clark, one on Broadway. We're known as home of the killer margaritas. We've been around almost 30 years. This location's almost 20, and it's full service Mexican restaurant. We have outdoor seating, private rooms. So we have a little bit of everything for different groups. And obviously, being that we're in the on the north side of the city, we're privy to certain events such as like the Pride Parade, market days, and then obviously like Cinco de Mayo is universal now. So those are big days for us. But with everything that's going on and all the adjusting and adapting that we've been making on our end to make sure that our doors are open, just there's a lot of change. There's a lot of change, and we're trying our best to come up with different ideas to stay afloat. There's a lot of restaurants out there, and there's a lot of Mexican restaurants, and so whenever we are asked or invited to certain parts of the city once, it's amazing. And to come back and to do it again, it's so humbling because, like I said, there's so many restaurants out in the city, and for people to request us to come back, that means we're doing something right. So whether it's the food or the drinks or the desserts, it's a combination of everything. So we're making, like I said, adjustments in what we call the COVID-19 epidemic, and our business model has changed. Obviously, we've changed our dining rooms to prep room areas. Our lobbies are now used to store food that are either placed, food orders that are either placed through, one of the third party apps or through the phone or uh, our app. So it's just a lot of changing as it was. I think our industry as a whole was probably about 20% less than it was the year before. And that's just going off of information that I've read
Hmm.
through just restaurant material, that's posted on the internet. National Restaurant Association posted something about there's about 11% of the restaurants that are currently operating or that were currently operating before this epidemic hit and might not make it out. So I'm trying not to be in that 11%, and I'm doing everything in my power to make sure that we're not there.
From what I've seen so far, you guys are doing such an incredible job. I mean, like you said, I mean, the stats that are out there, they are kind of scary. But the
Yeah,
fact that you guys have been able to rise despite the circumstances, I think that's a testament to how long you guys have been in business in terms of just the way that you guys handle business, the way that you guys, I mean, you guys were already doing, the Grubhub and stuff like that. That a lot of, if you're a restaurant that wasn't already doing that, I mean, what else, what other options do you kind of have? I mean, it's just what orders that people come in, but you're limited because people can't sit, right? So
right.
it's a huge obstacle. So for you, I know we spoke about this, briefly off camera, but just the big difference between, delivering, right? And then you have like your taking. Can you tell us a little bit about how because you guys were already familiar with that side of business, how did that impact you guys into this transition?
Yeah, there's a couple components to that, and it's all a little bit intertwined in the sense that because we had been working with third party apps before, we really never had an in-house catering or in-house delivery service per se. We relied heavily on these third party apps to get us business. Because they carry the burden of providing the drivers, the insurance, the liability aspect of things. But it's not free. It's not free. And unfortunately, a couple of the third party apps have come under fire for their business practices. One in particular came out right before this epidemic hit and claimed that they were going to help us out and that they were going to contribute millions of dollars to the small businesses to make sure that we stay afloat. Fast forward to 3 weeks, 2 weeks into this whole situation, and we find out that they're really not doing us any favors. All they're doing is deferring the commissions slash marketing fees that they're taking, which right now is okay because obviously it helps our cash flow. But come June, come July, whenever that big bill starts rolling around, it's gonna be an issue. So because of that, and because of everything that's going on, we had to focus on the positive. We had to focus on what it was that we we do good instead of, my dad always taught me, don't sit and wait for someone to help you. You got to get up and do it yourself. If you want, and especially if you want something done right, just do it yourself. And I've been lucky in the sense that I've had some really good people working with me here, especially at this location, that have adjusted with everything. Even before this, just the way business goes. And one of the things that we had been talking about prior to all this happening was trying to detach ourselves from the third-party apps. I'm trying not to name them by name just because it's better just to, keep it like that. So again, the third-party apps, it's a business. They're in it to make money. It's a profit, and as long as you're making money, that we're not big fish. We're little guys. And although we do produce a fair amount of revenue in terms of the bigger scale, we're not that important, I don't think. There's a lot of restaurants. Like I said, there's thousands of Mexican restaurants out there. So,
and then with a lot of those third party places that you're mentioning, they cover all kind of restaurants and throughout the whole city too. So it's it's a
yeah. And the thing with those apps is that obviously, I mean, I'm in the same boat because of convenience. When I'm at home, I use those third-party apps because a lot of restaurants don't offer delivery service or don't offer direct ordering. So I get that, and I understand that. But going back to what I was saying in regards to what we were thinking about doing is creating our own app and building loyalty. As we were talking about a little bit off camera, repeat customers are probably the most important customers because those are the customers that you've already entertained once. And if they've come back more than once, that means you're doing, again, something right. I go back to things that my dad always said, every customer that comes through that door is your customer to lose. So it's your opportunity to showcase everything from your food to the drinks to the service. So it's the ball is in your court. And if you do everything right, they'll come back. So with the third-party apps, and what we're trying to do is create our own loyalty, create our own database, so to speak. I mean, we have, 30,000 people following us on the social medias. We have, I don't know, like thousands of people on our mailing list. So we have ways of reaching out to people, but creating a sense of loyalty was a big deal for me, because again, building off that brand, building off of that repeat customer is huge, so I had been exploring different opportunities to venture out and start doing our own things. And obviously because of everything that happened so fast, literally like overnight, our business model changed. I was hard pressed to find one alternative. As we were talking, this order is coming through. So it's an online ordering platform. And all it is you're going to our website and you're ordering directly through us and to us. And so there's no third-party apps. This is coming straight to us. The revenue, it creates a better daily cash flow for us because this money is deposited into our account every night. And so
you don't have to wait for the multiple days of processing, which can be a hindrance, and you have to wait for the
right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. And so this service is something that we're able to provide our own drivers, provide our own platform. And this is the first step in creating the loyalty. The next step is a full on app where you're going to be able to do things that the Starbucks of the world do, where if you buy X amount of burritos or X amount of margaritas, we'll remind you and we'll say, hey, Miguel, like, we haven't seen you in a while. You have these many points. You could turn these points into, a mega margarita, for instance. And even if you weren't thinking about coming in, the fact that now we're already like talking to you, that's going to be huge. So we'll be rolling that out soon, and that'll be available for both locations. And again, we have to build off of that. 30 years in the making, it's not overnight. It's not overnight, and we're adjusting. So because of all the things that we're doing, and combining that with the Cesar's Mobile Clark efforts, we're exposing our brand. We're exposing our brand to different parts of the city, and I'd say half of the people are people that have never heard of us, but others are people that used to live in the area,
Mm.
but had kids and moved out, and they're in the northern parts of the city, they're suburbs, what have you. So, and because we realized, you know what, hey, our dining rooms are closed, um, they can't come to us. We got to go to them. You know, it's just simple as that. It's straight to the point. You guys can't come to us. We're gonna come to you. So that's how this whole Caesar's mobile park started, because we needed to get our product out to people. And obviously, in the neighborhood, we're known,
Yeah.
but there's people that were part of this neighborhood that are not here anymore. Now let's get out to them. You know, once all this is said and done, I want people to come and experience the full Caesars vibe here. You know, I want people in our dining rooms. I want the families in our dining rooms because, as you know, takeout is always going to be a little bit different than the dining experience, whether it's the quality of the food, the quality of the drink, everything kind of, you know, it's not the same. Let's just say we try our best, you know, but there's certain things that we just can't, we can't duplicate when we're on the road. So we do our best. And by that, you know, when I say we do our best is like, we, we spend, we spend time researching like what containers are out there. You know, I sit down with our purveyors and always look at, hey, what's the latest and greatest? And if, if there's something that's a little bit better, maybe it costs a little more, but might eliminate a step or two for the kitchen. I'm all about it, you know, because at the end of the day, the product that we're delivering needs to be consistent and it needs to be a good representation of the restaurant, you know?
And then also time is money. So if you're saving steps for your people in the kitchen, I mean, that investment of spending whatever you spend may equal
Yeah.
a greater value in terms of time saved.